We've already looked at the Gettysburg Address as far as what he's trying to say to the crowd around him. And now I want to get into more details as far as the word choices, the diction, the rhetoric, that sort of thing. If you look at this 77 years ago, this is actually an allusion to the Bible, because there's a passage in the Bible where they use the word score, meaning 20 years. Now, not everybody knows that. That's not that obvious. However, this allusion is very obvious. This is alluding to the Declaration of Independence, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. When Lincoln uses these allusions, when he alludes to the Bible, when he alludes to the Declaration of Independence, he's demonstrating to us that he knows what he's talking about, that we can believe him. And that is an example of ethos. Going to the second paragraph, notice the word we. It's used over and over, and because it's used at the beginning of these sentences, that's called anaphora. The other thing that this does, using we over and over, is it makes sure that the people feel like it's all of us. We're united. We're together in this. And that's important, especially at this time in the war. Using we, as it's used in this speech, is called inclusive language. It includes everyone. Now, there's also some powerful words here, which is diction. A final resting place. Gave their lives. This goes along with the imagery of this battlefield and bodies lying on it. And that creates pathos. The third paragraph, he uses parallel structure. We cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot hallow this ground. These clauses, these three clauses, are parallel to each other, and that provides an emphasis. Down here where he says the world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. This is antithesis, opposites. They will not remember what we say here, but they will never be able to forget what they did here. Now, if we look at individual words that are important, consecrate is a powerful word, hallow is a powerful word, and some of it is repeated, and that is again for emphasis. He's talking about holiness, and he actually sees this as a holy war. And he uses words like consecrate, hallow, to emphasize that. At this point, he also kind of draws a line between those people living and dead who struggled here and we who are standing here, because he wants to explain that they are doing their part, they've done their part, and now he's moving on to what we, as a group, need to do. So you're going to see, again, we and us throughout here, because he wants the people who are standing there listening to him to feel like we are all together in this, and this is what we need to do. And as we've discussed earlier, he's talking about the fact that we need to gather our strength and continue. We need to take from what they've done, their devotion, and add it to ours, to become devoted to this holy war and make sure that we finish it. Also, throughout this whole paragraph, he continuously uses words like devotion, honored, to really make it obvious that he feels that these people who died did it for a noble cause. He uses brave men. And again, he uses dedicated many times to mean different things. And devotion, and then he also uses powerful language when he says, shall have a new birth of freedom. And finally he ends with, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And this is an allusion to the preamble of the Constitution of the United States. So here he uses, at the beginning part of this paragraph, he uses pathos. He talks about these brave men, living and dead. He talks about dedication, and all of that is emotional language. And in the end, he ends with ethos, because of this reference to the preamble. Now, as we finish, if we look up here at the word choices, we'll notice that he uses the word we 10 times. This is because he wants to unite the people. He uses the word dedicate or dedication 6 times. And he uses the word nation 5 times. This emphasis on these particular words is important. It lets you know what his main thinking is about. It's about the nation, it's about being dedicated, and it's about being all together as one as we finish this war. You may have noticed that we have not discussed logos in this speech. However, it is here because Lincoln is saying, look, these people were willing to struggle and die for this cause. So logically, this cause must be worth continuing. And that's what he's trying to get the crowd who's listening to him to do, to continue the fight and not have these men die in vain. So that is logical. That's using logos. And so even though it's not as obvious as the ethos and the pathos in the speech, it is there. I hope this has helped you understand the rhetoric and the diction and really the emotion that was part of this speech.